what should I do to break with the barrier of my fears? Because these fears don't allow me to advance and come out of my comfort zone.
You know, the beautiful thing about consciousness is once you start to cultivate it, you start to have this internal feeling of plenitude, and more importantly, of security. And you start to trust in that. So you start to see a fear and you start to challenge the fears because you have internal security. And you start to get addicted to challenging your fears. Why? Because once you walk through a fear, your consciousness expands. Because on the other side of fear, there's always love. And sometimes the biggest fear represents the greatest love. And you get used to walking through it until it becomes habitual. You no longer allow yourself to be separated because of fear. You no longer allow yourself to be limited because of fear. You no longer postpone your dreams because of fear. You'll be constantly confronting it. And then you start to have this passion for what's happening in your life. Because when we have fear, we live in comfort. But it's not a positive comfort. It's a place where we feel safe, but we're not evolving. You know, sometimes we stay in bad situations and we don't challenge the fear. Sometimes we stay in very destructive relationships and we don't challenge the fear. Sometimes we have a destructive relationship with ourselves. You know, we're always judging ourselves, being violent with ourselves, and with that we don't advance. And you'll start to see all of this. Because once you start to get into the present moment, you'll start to see yourself. And once you can see yourself, you can change. Yeah, so fear is an illusion. And it's an illusion that you can keep walking through. Really. Yeah.
¿Qué hago con mi necesidad de ser la preferida? What do I do with my need of being the favorite one?
Make yourself the favorite one.
Transfórmate a ti misma en tu favorita, en tu
You know,
preferida.
love yourself. Give to yourself.
Date más a ti.
You know, that's such a needy thing.
Ese es un lugar súper necesitado.
And it's so external, no?
Tiene que ver tanto con lo externo.
You're like a little puppet.
Es como si fueras una marioneta.
You're playing to the crowd all the time.
Jugando para la masa.
Love me, love me, love me, love me, love me, love me. And it's boring. Because all your attention's out here. And you know the irony?
¿Sabes la ironía de
It's never enough.
nunca va a ser suficiente?
It doesn't matter how much you receive, it's never enough. Because people that want to be the favourite
Ser la preferida.
don't love themselves. People that love themselves
Que se aman a sí mismos.
are just satisfied with being them,
Hechos con ser ellos mismos.
being in the
En el
moment,
momento,
being loving with themselves,
consigo mismo.
giving that love. They're not constantly looking for the outside to say,
Para que la fuera
oh, you're my favourite.
favorito.
Yeah. It's a very immature place,
Muy maduro es.
but very immature.
Muy maduro.
You know, I tell all my teachers
Digo a todos mis maestros,
that they're my favourite.
ellos son mis favoritos.
You know,
Cada uno.
everyone.
A cada uno se lo
And in that moment, it's true.
Y en ese momento es la pura verdad.
You know, when they're in front of me,
Están enfrente mío.
they're my favourite.
Mi favorita.
Huh? And it's like that. Because they love themselves.
Se aman a sí mismos.
They're not waiting for me
Esperando que yo,
to love them.
que yo los esté amando.
They're loving themselves.
Amando a sí mismos.
And that's the most
Y
important
esa es la
thing.
cosa más importante en realidad.
You loving you.
Tú amándote a ti. Mis padres fueron muy ausentes e incompetentes emocionalmente. De adulto sané mi relación con ellos y me convertí en su psicoterapeuta. Descubrí que escojo parejas iguales a ellos, ausentes y con poco desarrollo emocional, y me transformo en su psicólogo. ¿Cómo rompo con esto? My parents were very absent and incompetent emotionally. And when I was an adult, I healed my relationship with them, but I became their psychotherapist. Then I discovered that I chose my partners identical, absent and not very emotionally developed, and I became their psychologist. How can I break with this?
Doesn't sound like you healed it very well.
No parecería que lo has sanado muy bien.
Sounds like you put a band-aid.
Parecería que le has puesto una curita,
But
una
deep
curita,
inside,
pero muy profundo dentro.
it still exists.
Eso sigue existiendo.
That separation, that place where you're not loving yourself, that place where you have to save people, and you need to save yourself. You know, powerful people always surround themselves with people with problems so that they can save them. Look, you know, I'm not doing so well, but I look better than you, and I'm going to fix you. It's true. It's true. And really, when you're loving yourself, you don't save people. You empower them. But you empower them from your own clarity. And you don't see anything wrong with them. You just give to them without attachment. Because always, those relationships that are so codependent, there's always something missing here. There's something missing here. And if you're a psychologist, you must know that you're repeating the same pattern. So if you're repeating the same pattern, what's that telling you? Oh, I haven't healed it. I haven't healed it. So where does your attention need to go? Here. Always in. Always in. Into you. And see this addiction to save people and save yourself.
Intento, pero no logro disfrutar del dar. Lo hago de mala gana. ¿Qué puedo hacer? I try, but I cannot enjoy the giving. I do it like with not much
enthusiasm.
Yeah. What can I do?
You know, the thing is this.
La cosa es la siguiente.
You're clearly living in lack. And you have to go in and see this place where you don't think there's enough. And find that internal abundance. Once you find that, you'll find joy in giving. But if you're giving like this, because you feel obliged, obviously you don't have anything inside. Because people that have consciousness are always giving. It's the nature of consciousness to give. Because you feel so abundant, you feel so empowered, you want to give that to everyone. But if you're doing this, if you feel like there's never enough, or that you don't care, what's that saying? You're not feeling internally as if you have enough. Hmm?
I want to try to understand the philosophy. Es un cambio de vida. It's a change of life.
What this is it's an emptying system that allows you to reconnect with the internal unconditional love that you had when you were a child. That place of security, joy, innocence, present moment awareness, like you're wrapped in a warm blanket, no? And you start loving yourself exactly as you are. That's why it's in your perfection. And all of this comes from the expansion of consciousness. How do I achieve that? Firstly, I use the facets with my eyes closed. And that starts to elevate all of the low vibration of energy. Because everything inside of you and outside of you is love. All of it. Even the worst fears is love. Okay? And when you focus on the highest level, everything moves towards that. And that's why you start to let go of memories, stresses, everything that's in a low vibration. And then you start to experience this energy inside. And from that place, you stop abandoning yourself. You start speaking the truth. You start walking through your fears. You start letting go of your attachments. You start living more in the present moment. And as a consequence, your perception starts to change. You start to see the world as it is instead of how you are. Okay? So all of this is the product of the expansion of consciousness. And it's all experiential. There's no philosophy, there's no one to follow. There's just a system with steps, okay, to expand consciousness. Absolutely. You know, there's nothing to learn. There's just tools to use and, of course, to liberate what doesn't serve. Okay, and it's very strong. Because when you focus on the highest point, everything moves towards that. You know, we don't analyze anything. We focus on what we want. I want love. I focus on love. And everything moves towards that point.
Es que quería saber cómo puedo sanar ciertas cosas. Por razón del festival que yo monto de mi trabajo, tengo que hacer las cosas con mucha anticipación, planear con mucha anticipación. Y durante todo este tiempo hasta agosto es un estrés violento de cómo van a salir las cosas por el lado del control que sacan como yo pienso que deben salir. Y normalmente salen muy bien. Pero siento también que soy muy violento conmigo mismo. Es lo que siento en este momento. No importa qué haga, nunca es suficiente.
Yes, because you're totally exigente. And that's not love. You're creating a festival that brings joy to hundreds and thousands of people, but you're not in joy. You're torturing yourself. And things never go exactly as you plan. Sometimes they'll go even better. But the problem is, you don't trust. And you've got too much involved. Too much image. This defines me. You always introduce yourself, and then what you do. Because there's too much involved in it. You're not doing it from this place of abundance, joy, giving. You're doing it from a place of exigencia and image. I'm sorry, but I know you very well. And you're such a sweet guy, but you torture yourself. And do you deserve that? I don't think so. I don't want to torture you. Why are you torturing you? Because you're not loving you. Because you're great. But you don't see that. There's a place where you, I've got to do it well, I've got to do it well, I've got to do it well. It's like you're defining yourself through what you're doing. Instead of just loving yourself exactly as you are. You know.
Yo nací, I was born después de la muerte prematura de mi primer
After the death, the premature death of my first brother.
Mi madre se fajó durante 7 meses.
Se fajó. She rubbed herself during 7 months.
Para que mi abuela no le hiciera la vida imposible por el hijo que traía.
Not to make her drive her nuts because the son was having his.
Algo que me ha dado en mi vida, siempre he estado con psiquiatras, psicólogos, haciendo talleres de crecimiento personal, pero siempre siento de que tengo la necesidad de que me amen, de que me quieran. Y como que siempre me siento no correspondida. ¿Podré ahora?
Yes. Obvio. You know, the thing is, you have to give it to you. Because some of us have all these tragic stories, no? And even if we have the most perfect parents and the most perfect birth, there's still this place where we're begging for love. There's not a human on the planet that's not begging for love until they learn to love themselves. Because everything's external and it's not important. That's the separation. The real love is in you, and that's what you have to connect with. So you can do all the therapies and you can analyze yourself and sure, they help a lot. But at some moment, you have to take responsibility for loving you. I'm adopted. My mother threw me away with the water, no? You know, pah. And someone caught me. And my mother that caught me, she was very exigente. She was like him, but she had more hair. So I had abandonment. Nothing was ever good enough. And now I love myself. And I'm no different to you. I'm the same as everyone in this room. But ultimately, we have to give it to ourselves. So yes, I have a solution. And we're going to give it to you this week. Okay, and all the things you've done that bring you to this point allow you now to go in and connect with that love. You know, because everything's a path and everything's valid. But at some moment, it has to finish. You can't keep spending your whole life healing. You're meant to be enjoying it. Huh? And that's coming back to innocence. Yeah.
What I fear, I reject. How can I do it? It really hurts so much.
Okay. So, you know, the good thing is, when we're very down, yeah, there's only one way to go, no? And that's up. And so you have to start at the base. You know, and it's about firstly you loving you. I don't know what's happened to you, if you've been betrayed or you feel betrayed or maybe you had a divorce. I don't know what happened. No, but I can imagine that it's something that's got you a little bit resented, no? Yeah, okay. So the first thing you have to let go of is the resentment. So you've got to move all of that. So you're going to be unifying, and this will start to come up, no? And then you go up the stairs, and you talk to one of the teachers, and you start to move the resentment until it's not there anymore. And when all this starts to leave, you'll start feeling good with yourself. You know, and that's the only way I know. You have to let everything go that doesn't serve. And really let it go. But for you. Not for anyone else. Just for you. Yeah. You're welcome. Huh?
Durante a unificação,
During the
eu senti
unification, I
dificuldade de
felt a lot of
concentração.
difficult to concentrate.
Durante la unificación sentí mucha dificultad para concentrarme. Muitos pensamentos de todos os tipos.
All kind of thoughts coming out.
Muita distração.
I was very distracted.
Muchos pensamientos de todos tipos y mucha distracción de todas las maneras. E eu queria saber se existe uma forma da gente se concentrar mais efetivamente, estar mais presente nesse momento. Quero saber se há alguma forma mais efetiva de poderme concentrar.
This is not about concentration.
Esto no se trata de concentrarse.
I think the facet,
Uno piensa la faceta,
and then the stress moves,
después el estrés se mueve,
and the mind moves out on thought.
y la mente se mueve en forma de pensamiento.
Okay, the mind and the body are a unit.
Son una unidad.
So when you're moving stress,
Tú estás moviendo estrés,
the mind becomes active.
la mente también se torna activa.
And that's good, because this is working with the thoughts.
Esto funciona con los pensamientos.
And then at some moment,
En algún momento
you'll have a big movement,
vas a tener un gran movimiento.
and then you'll go
Y
deeper.
después vas a poder ir más profundo.
But now you've just learned,
Pero ahora simplemente has aprendido.
and you're on the
Y
surface.
estás en la superficie.
So all that superficial stress
Todo ese estrés superficial
is starting to leave.
empieza a irse de ti.
Okay, so just be calm.
Que solo esté calmo.
Make sure you exercise.
Trate de hacer ejercicio.
Make sure you drink a lot of water.
Mucha agua.
And see if you can connect with something.
Puedes conectar con alguna emoción.
Because once that moves,
Porque una vez que se mueve esa
it will
emoción,
become deeper.
va a ser más profunda la experiencia.
And tomorrow when you do the witnessing with me,
Mañana verás cuando vengas a hacer la unificación atestiguando conmigo,
you'll go deeper too.
vas a conectarte más profunda también.
You know, you'll start going
Vas a
deeper.
empezar a conectar más profundo.
Hmm? Don't worry, everyone has stress like that in the beginning.
Todos al principio tienen estrés de esa manera.
You should talk to the older students,
Tienes que hablar con los estudiantes más antiguos.
and they'll tell you about their process.
Su proceso,
They'll
cómo
tell you
sucede,
what
y te
happens,
va a contar lo que sucede.
so you can be calm, no?
Puedes estar calmo con eso.
Because this is another thing.
Porque esta es otra cosa.
We always think we're doing something wrong.
Siempre creemos que estamos haciendo algo mal.
We think we're not doing it right.
Pero lo estamos haciendo bien.
And you're doing it perfectly.
Estás haciendo perfectamente.
It's impossible to do wrong.
Es imposible hacer esto mal.
Really.
De verdad.
It's impossible.
Es imposible.
It's very simple.
Súper simple esto.
So just persist.
Así que persiste.
And if you have a confusion, go and talk to the teachers.
Tus